Welcome to our worship service. Settle into your space. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe we are all connected in this world, and we value the worth and dignity of each person, even when it is hard to do. We pull on the wisdom of many sources to teach us, guide us, and help us understand this world. As we settle into our space and prepare our hearts for worship, let us remember our connections to each other and renew those connections through our collective words we say for our chalice lighting. Please join me in the chalice lighting words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share. Our opening words today start with the quote that inspired them. The quote is by Reverend Elena Rose Vera. Nothing is over. Take a breath, take a minute, feel your feelings, then get back in the fight. The fight is harder, but the fight is the same, and it needs you, and it needs me, and it needs us. The stakes could not be higher, and the world we hope for doesn't happen if we don't make it. We fight the fights that need fighting, not just the fights we're sure we could win. We do what needs doing, and we make a way out of no way. We get miracles by being each other's miracles. We get chances by making chances. We get hope by doing the work of hope. Our words of inspiration are from Megan Ruth Vesser, titled, Nothing is Over. When the court is stacked against us, growing colder and more indifferent, this chalice is glowing with warmth, like it always is. This is not a long prayer, because the chalice is only a thawing station. Our faith is in the fight. We soften next to the flame. It melts fear. This isn't that kind of candle that we let burn down. We save the wax, conserve the wick, because we know we'll be back tomorrow and the next day. No, we didn't just get started. Yes, it is far from over. Morning has not even begun. Joy I knew more than once still exists in us. Steady flame, steady. Coat us in the light of possibility. Come, let us worship together in that light of possibility. Please raise your spirit and voice for our opening hymn, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song.
My life flows on in endless song Our first wisdom readings come from the book Leading from Within, Poetry that Sustains the Courage to Lead, a poem by Carol Prejean Zippert titled When You Get Lost. When you get lost, tell me what you do. When you get lost, tell me. Tell me what you feel, how things look to you, what happens in your head, what you say to yourself. Tell me. Can you see anything when you get lost? Can you hear what's about you? Do you perceive life at all? Tell me. Tell me what scares you the most when you get lost. Can you draw from deep inside what you use to hold you up? Do you move differently? Tell me. Tell me what you do to reach that special calm. Can you direct a prayer? When do you know to wait? When do you know to risk? Tell me. Tell me what you do when you get lost. Tell me. Then tell me how you know when you're not lost. No more. Tell me. A poem by Seamus Heaney from The Cure at Troy. Human beings suffer. They torture one another. They get hurt and they get hard. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme. So, hope for a great sea change. On the far side of revenge, believe that a farther shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles and cures and healing wells.
Oh, love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. I confess I've been trying so hard to keep it all out, keep it all out. So love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. I give up trying so hard to keep it all out, keep it all out. So love, fill me, breathe me to pieces. Love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. If I'm made for love, make me strong enough. And when I need to hide, love, hold me in your grace until I feel safe. Then love, fill me, breathe me to pieces. doves fly out, and doves come home, here to rest. In my heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart fill me, breathe me to peace. Heart is wide open, my heart fill me, breathe me to peace. Heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Fill me, breathe me to peace when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, sweet love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in.
Here we are. This week has been filled with so many emotions: anger, grief, anticipation, disappointment, hope, and even love. It can be hard right now to even contemplate opening our hearts. It would be more comforting to just hide and let that spirit hold us. And we can do that. We can pull ourselves back, take some deep breaths in, mourn what is lost. It may be a loss of belief. It may be a loss in humanity. It may be a loss in your being. No matter what the election results are, we are still faced with the fact that there are people in our country, in our cities, in our neighborhoods, who think it is okay to have the leader of our nation spew hate, turn up violence, and disregard so many lives who have died due to COVID or who have been caged up behind bars without their parents. The hate and violence continues to spread through the festering infection of white supremacy, promoted by that same leader throughout our country, leaving people of color once again hurting and angry. Yes, we have reasons to mourn, to be disappointed, to be angry. However, it is nothing compared to those who are fighting for their very right to exist in this country. The LGBTQ plus community, the Latino community, the indigenous communities, the Black communities, the disabled communities, and so many more who have fought and fought and fought and fought to just exist and be recognized as human. Some have even just fought to be able to breathe. So yes, we can mourn, we can grieve, we can be angry, we can renew our spirits, because it is hard to know the change we so wanted to see overnight in our country did not materialize. And honestly, we were kind of foolish to think over 400 years of laws, practices, hate, and violence would change so quickly. Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams reminds us this week in the New York Times, our anxiety comes from the desire to have things be different. There's going to be that day after the election and the day after that. We need to be present to what is, regardless of what the outcome we want. My ancestors had to prepare themselves over and over again, she says, for moving toward a freedom that was nowhere in sight. We prepare for life as it unfolds, not our ideal image of it. That is literally the only path forward. Let us remember this fight for humanity, for the worth and dignity of each person, for the power of revolutionary love is not new. And many of us, myself included, are just at the very beginning of a long history of those who have been fighting. We need to mourn, to grieve, and to take time to renew our souls and spirits. And then we need to move on to what is next. A prayer by Reverend Jennifer Kelleher, titled Enough. Sometimes I must pray out loud at the top of my lungs. Good God, enough. Enough, universe of chaos and confusion. I am done. We are done. We cannot continue to hold all we are holding in our hearts, our bodies, our spirits. Enough. We are tired. We are angry. We are frightened. We are hurting. We are uncertain. Can you hear us? Send a sign if you can hear us, because we've not received affirmation in a long time. And I've been searching for you everywhere, reaching out for you in every passage of time and change of location, trying to fill my lungs with breath less shallow. Fill me with breath that oxygenates my being with the potential of what you are, of what I am, of life force. Instead, I choke, am left sputtering, abandoned in this reality without life force. I would wish to end my words to you today with gratitude, without gestures of utter aggravation, displeasure, and pain. But in this moment, I am upset with you, and you must know this truth. I will not hide my outrage or my vulnerability, not from you, not from myself. My eyes overflow because right now this world we created feels so mean. I feel so mean. We feel so small. I feel so small. Unsure, unworthy. Enough. Enough. Good God, allow me and allow us to be enough. Amen.
When I was young, the sky was higher, the ground was closer, not so far to fall. But now I'm older. The sun seems colder, my eyes grown wider, and the world's grown small. I have a chance to rise above this life that I have led, and to give back a bit of love and create a better world instead. Make a difference and to make a change. Create a better world instead.
Our second set of wisdom readings from two sources. The first is from Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien. Frodo: I can't do this, Sam. Sam: I know, it's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here. But we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know in the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow, even this darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something, even if you were too small to understand. Why? But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't, because they were holding on to something. Frodo: What are we holding on to, Sam? Sam: That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. The second is from Valerie Carr's book, See No Stranger. Revolutionary love is the choice to enter into wonder and labor for others, for our opponents, and for ourselves in order to transform the world around us. It is not a formal code or prescription, but an orientation to life that is personal and political, rooted in joy. Loving only ourselves is escapism. Loving only our opponents is self-loathing. Loving only others is ineffective. All three practices together make love revolutionary, and revolutionary love can only be practiced in community. Love is a dangerous business. If you choose to see no stranger, then you must love people, even when they do not love you. You must wonder about them even when they refuse to wonder about you. You must protect them when they are in harm's way. Wonder is where love begins, but the failure to wonder is the beginning of violence.
Several years ago, I had the privilege of hearing Valerie Carr speak at the Revolutionary Love Conference in New York City. She shared during that time her now famous speech about the darkness of the womb. She says, "The future is dark, but what if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all of our grandfathers and grandmothers are standing behind us now, those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault? What if they are whispering in our ear, 'You are brave'? What if this is our nation's greatest transition?" I remember being pregnant over 21 years ago with my daughter, Sienna. This is a time when birth plans were popular, and I had mine all mapped out. I remember going to the OBGYN and sharing my birth plan with her, and her saying to me, "We'll just have to see what happens." Needless to say, once it came time for Sienna to be born, that birth plan was nowhere to be found. Not because we didn't know where it was, but because it did not apply to the situation. Some lessons from that experience. Birth happens when it wants to, not when you want it to. Birth is full of so many unknowns, from pain to fevers to heartbeats. Birth takes time and often longer than you want. And finally, birth needs support from others around you. No matter what kind of life you're trying to bring into this world as co-creators, it will take time. It will be longer than you want. It will be full of unknowns, disappointments, and even some joy. It will need support from others. And it will happen when it is meant to happen, not when you want it to happen. We are the people in this time to help make this new transition in our country. Valerie invites us to consider thinking of ourselves as warrior sages. She says, "What does it mean to be a warrior sage for a new time? Who will you fight for? What will you risk? Think about what breaks your heart. Notice what it feels like to have your fists clench, your jaw closed, your pulse quicken. Notice what it feels like to want to fight back. Honor that within yourself. You are alive and have something worth fighting for." Now comes the second part. How will you channel that into something that delivers life instead of death? Breathe. Think. Then choose your sword and shield. You don't have to know the answers, she says. You just have to be ready for the moment when the world says, now. She furthers that by inviting us into her Sikh tradition. They ground themselves in the knowledge that they are warrior sages, always fighting for the most vulnerable. She invites us as follows. First, what is your sword, your kirpan? What can you use to fight on the behalf of others? Is it your pen, your voice, your art, your pocketbook, your presence? Second, what is your shield, your doll? What can you use to protect others when the fight is dangerous? Your camera, legal counsel, a group of allies, public witness? Third, what is your instrument, your daruba? What can you use to center and inspire yourself and others? Is it singing, dancing, drumming, walking, yoga, prayer, meditation? What is it? And finally, who is your sacred community, your Sangat? You need these three kinds of people. Someone who sees the best in you. Someone who is willing to fight by your side. And someone who can fight for you when you need help. We are called by Unitarian Universalists and our faith to continue to be co-creators in this world, to continue to fight for justice, equity, and love, to continue to break down oppression and white supremacy. It might be scary, it might be hard, it might be unknown, and it might not happen when we want it to, but we cannot give up. If we give up now, then we are helping white supremacy thrive. We are continuing the narrative that people's lives don't matter, and we are hindering the path to progress, the path to a new birth. Those of you who identify as being part of the white majority, which I place myself in this category, we have benefited too long from the privilege our whiteness has granted us. If we truly want to see change, we need to risk. We need to put ourselves and our own resources on the line. And as Lynn said last week, that is scary, and there's fear in that. And if we let fear dictate what we are willing to change, then again, we return to helping white supremacy thrive, continuing the narrative people's lives don't matter, and hinder that path to progress. If you want change to happen, then we have to accept our place in the world as the co-creator and make it happen. No more excuses. No more easy outs. Find what you can do each day and do it. It is in the roots of who we are and what we believe as Unitarian Universalists. We can no longer ignore the call that our history demands we answer. Our closing prayer is from Aisha Hauser, titled Holy Disruptors. Some days it feels like it's just too much. Some days I want to hide and shut it all out. Some days I want to channel the ancestors who fought for liberation and for the right just to exist. Every day, I want to know when to speak up and disrupt injustice, even in the seemingly insignificant moments. Each moment is significant. Each day an opportunity arises when we can bear witness and choose to disrupt injustice. Spirit of life, give us the courage and wisdom to become holy disruptors and truth tellers when called upon. Grant us the humility to know this as a practice, and when we make mistakes, we will try again with love and patience. We are called to the caring and growing of souls, and we are all in this together. As people of faith who affirm the interdependent web of which we are all a part, we are called to be holy disruptors because we are all in this together. Amen. Please join in voice and spirit in our closing hymn, I'm Gonna Walk It With You.
Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. Well, it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. And I know it's gonna be a hard fight, but I will stay right here. I will shine a light in the darkest hour. I will face the man in the tallest tower. Well, it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. I will work, I will fight, I will strive in the name of love. I will speak, I will shout, I will sing into the skies above. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. And I know it might be a long time till the last one of us is free. But I will hold on tight, stay by your side. I will be with you for this whole damn ride. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. That's right. I'm gonna walk it with you. That's right. I'm gonna walk it with you. I will walk, I will climb, shine my light up the whole night through. Because it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you.
Let us choose to love, to change, to disrupt, because lives depend on us being warrior sages, co-creators, and Unitarian Universalist. Love, be with you. Please join me in the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please raise your hands in the spirit of connection for our closing song.
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
When I wake up in America, I see my neighbors there with every type of clothes and shoes, hats and skin and hair, every fine belief and custom. Scores of songs from who knows where. When I wake up in America, our stories fill the air. Wake up, despierta. Wake up, despierta. Wake up in America. The light in the harbor shines for us all. When I wake up, I see the kids playing happily swaying. It's good to be staying in a place like this, with a face like this. When I wake up in America, I put away my fear, and I love my neighbor as myself. And I say, I'm glad that you're here. We have found ourselves together in a land we dream could be. When we wake up in America, everybody will be free. Wake up, despierta. Wake up, despierta. Wake up, please, America. The light in the harbor shines for us all. When I wake up, when you wake up, when we